welcome to a safety step change session provided by Predictive Solutions. My name is Chuck Pettinger and I'll be presenting concepts, philosophies, and tools to help you create and sustain a step change in your safety culture. So the next phase we're going to be talking about is building the guiding team. Now once you have that increased sense of urgency, what you need to do is get that guiding team together. They're the ones that are going to be leading the change. So there's some specific things that I want you to do to make sure that you have a good team. So to do that, generally the single individual who has the greatest sense of urgency about this initiative usually pulls in the first people. Now, as I said before, you want to make sure that you use a good group of people. You can use pre-existing members, but you want to make sure that you push or pull members. In other words, if there's a pre-existing safety team that is primarily safety people, you might want to push some of those people out and pull in more operations, or vice versa. You want to get a good distribution of people from across the organization. You also want to make sure that you refer to it in the right way. You know, guiding team, guiding coalition. There are so many task forces out there that I hate to use that word because it's overused. And this is kind of what people think of task forces. You know, it's a good place where I can get out of work and go have some pizza. So say no to task force, create that guiding team. Now, to develop a good guiding team, here's a few guidelines for you. One, you want to make sure that people have the relevant knowledge. So if you're doing a change initiative on safety, you want safety professionals. You might also want people from operations, leadership. You want to make sure that the people with the relevant knowledge are on your team. Again, this can help in the next step, which is to create your vision. You also want to make sure that people are credible. Some team members have good connections or stature within the organization, and this can help with your vision. You also want to make sure that people have good information on internal working, so how things work. So if you see any barriers or potential things that might derail your change initiative, these people will be instrumental in helping identifying and knocking down those barriers. You also want some people with formal authority. You know, some people that are higher up in the management food chain. They can help with short-term wins, help with the resources, help communicate with their other leadership team members. But on the other hand, you also want some informal leaders. Not all managers or senior level people need to be on the team. Those people who have good standing with all the employees or craft people, those are some of the people that really know what's going on out there. So they're also good to have on your team. And, of course, you want to make sure that your team members have good leadership skills. Because if this is going to be a good change initiative, it's going to require a lot of upfront effort, a lot of time, a lot of resources, maybe putting their reputation on the line. So you want to make sure they have good leadership skills, which can help in a lot of these 8 stages. Now, I also like to talk about the chemistry of the change group. With any meeting you've ever been in, or part of a team, maybe a change coalition, or a, whatever, people all have different characteristics. I like to look at it in terms of a farm. So if the farmer is the change agent, you have 40% of that group typically are what I would call horses. They're a key group in the farm, as well as in your change group. They need to be trained, they're very intelligent, work well in teams, and they'll keep a good rider safe. Now the other portion of the majority of your farm are the sheep, key group, backbone of the farm. They need to be guided, but they can be led and are very adaptive. So that's 80% of your groups typically, whether they're a short meeting or one of your groups that you've been a part of. So there's also some early adopters, like dogs, for example, right? They're loyal, intelligent, core to change initiatives. They'll lead sheep. They're the ones who are go-getters, early adopters. They're on the bus, they get it. And then there's people who are lemmings. Those are the people that join any team. They're easy up for any change. And maybe they're just in it for the pizza. Now there's also the anchors of the farm, the goats. They can be cautious. Doubts can be insightful. Goats may lead sheep in the wrong direction, but they can be valuable assistants if they're convinced. So sometimes all you got to do is get those goats to buy in, and they'll be a valuable part of your change effort. Then you have the jackals. Everyone has jackals on their groups. They cannot be trained. They eat goats and sheep and scare the horses. So, every once in a while you have those people that get on your committees and, it's really rough. I call those cave people, co-workers against virtually everything. We've all had them. So, when you're thinking about creating this change team, you want to make sure that you have a good representation from the organization, up the leadership chain, across the different aspects, different business units, different organizations, to help give you an insight and identify some of those barriers. So in our next session, we're going to talk about developing a vision.